Okay, so we're going to work our way through these proofs today. We're going to do, like I said, about half of them today. You're going to do the other half tomorrow. And for each one, we are proving that our triangles are congruent. So go ahead and put your name and today's date on that paper if you haven't already. Make sure you're on the side that says 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you don't want to be on the wrong side here because I know they all look super, super similar. Okay, and we're going to kind of jump around just a little bit on these proofs. So if you remember from yesterday, when we did our proofs, we had statements or like sentences that we were saying, and then we had reasons behind it, right? So like we backed up our information with why we said what we said for each one. There are always two things given to you in a proof. You are given information and you're told what to prove as well. You'll also be given a picture that you have to mark. Now, as we go through each proof, yesterday, I just had you fill in the blanks. Today, as we go through each statement and reason, there is a word bank down below. And after you use each one, you can just cross it off. And so you'll only use each one time, okay? So once you've used it, we'll cross it off and then we won't have to use it again. So we're going to start with number 2. Number 2, okay? We're going to start with our statement reason and proving that that triangle is congruent. Okay, so what is always going to be my first statement? What do I put first? Given. Okay, so there are two different pieces of given information. We're going to separate them out into two separate lines, okay? So we're just going to start with my first given statement. So my first given statement is angle XWZ is congruent to angle XYZ. And again, you should see that down below. XXX, here we go. So you can cross it off. And then what would be your first reason? How did you know that statement? It was given to you. Okay, so then I mark it off. Bing. And then after you write each sentence, we're going to mark it in the picture. So really, it's the second letter that you want to look at when you're talking about angles, because the second letter is going to tell you which one to mark. So which two angles are actually congruent? Angle Y and angle W. So at Y and W, I'm going to put an arc mark. And so you need to make sure you mark your picture after each one. That is my first congruent symbol. How many congruent symbols do I need before I can go on to the proof? I need 3. Okay, so I have my first one there. There's my first statement. Cool. What's my next statement going to be? So I did the first given. Did I do the second given? No. So now I'm going to put the second piece of given information. XZ bisects angle WXY. You should see that down below. And what's my reason? Given again. Okay. Now, if as you're going through, you get stuck, you can look at what's given to you, because you should see statements and reasons for what's left over. You already know what your final statement's going to be. What should your final statement be? The proof. So if you are ever stuck and you're not quite sure where to go next, you can always put your proof statement in. And then that way you've got one more thing crossed off of your list there. Right? So now I'm kind of like working my way down and I only have a couple things left. All right. Now, in that second statement there, I see that XZ bisects angle WXY, which is really just angle X. Now, if I bisect angle X, what does that mean I'm doing? What does bisect mean? Cut in half. So if I'm cutting angle X in half, what does that mean about these two pieces right here? Yeah, they're equal. They're the same. I'm cutting it in half, right? If the whole thing was 100 and I cut it in half, what would each one be? 50. They'd be the same. So if I'm cutting angle X in half, that means the two pieces of angle X have to be exactly the same. Which statement below says these two pieces of angle X are the same? Well, is that a angle? That's not an angle. What is that? That's a side. There's only one angle left. What's the one statement for the angles? Yep, this one right here. So the angle X, right? That's our second letter. That means that's the one that we're really looking at. These two angle X's are the same. So my next statement is angle WXZ is congruent to angle YXZ. What word gave that away? How did I know to cut those in half? The word bisector. Yeah, I used the definition of bisector. Okay, so now I've got two pieces of information. I need my last piece of information, and if you're really stuck, you can just look below. What is going to have to be my last piece of information? XZ is congruent to XZ, right? That's this shared side right in the center. Which theorem says that your side in the center that is shared is the same? Reflexive properties. So XZ is congruent to XZ. That is the reflexive property. And remember, reflexive property, like I said, is just the shared side. So if you don't remember that, maybe I would write that down. Okay, now I have three pieces of information, three things highlighted. So now I'm down to my final statement. My final statement is always the proof, right? So I just copied that these two triangles are congruent. Now, my final reason I left it blank because I wanted you to figure it out. I didn't want you to just be able to look and just copy. I wanted you to look at the picture and tell me which theorem tells me that these two triangles are congruent. Who can raise their hand and tell me which theorem says those two are congruent? Bobo, what do you think? Angle, angle, side. Do we agree or disagree with Bobo? Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. Yes, fantastic. Angle, angle, side. So you'll use every box one time. And once you use it, you can cross it off. And so like literally, if you were ever stuck, process of elimination is really going to help you out here. And so when you go to take your final exam and when you go to take your test for me, you're going to have a word bank. Okay? All right. Do I have questions on that one? Okay. I would like you to try number 3. Number 3. Give number 3 a try, and then we're going to check it together. Number 3. So make sure you mark it in the picture. Give number 3 a try, then we'll come together, we'll check it. Nope, we're not doing number 1 right now. We're doing number 3 right now. I have an order to my madness. Just bear with me. So start with your given, end with your prove. start with your given information. And then mark it in the picture. If you've got more than one piece of given information, make sure you write all of your given stuff down. Multiple givens. Good, 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 good. I see a lot of good things. Make sure you mark everything in that picture. And if it's a right triangle, what should it have? You got more than one piece of given information, so make sure you put all that given down. Good, good. See a lot of great things. Give it another minute. All right, let's take a look at that picture there. So who can raise their hand and tell me what their very first statement was? First statement and first reason. Lorenzo, what'd you got? And what was your reason? Given. Beautiful. There's a statement. What should you mark in your picture, Lorenzo? A right angle. Where? Right in the middle. Good. 2 right angles. Fantastic. Good. All right. What was your second sentence? Second sentence. Christian, what was your second sentence?
QS angle QS or side QS is congruent to QS.
Perfect. And what was your reason?
Given.
Given. Beautiful. And what should you mark in the picture, Christian?
QS and yeah.
Good, with a tick mark.
Yeah.
Good. Fantastic. Okay. Got 2 pieces of information there. So if you know that they're right triangles, that means you have a right angle. And you've got another piece of congruent information. You need one more piece of information. Cooper, what's your last statement and reason? Beautiful. Reflexive property, which means it shares the side. So what should I put on SR, Cooper? How many? 2 tick marks. Beautiful. Okay. Now, I've got my final statement. What's always your final statement? Prove. Okay, so my final statement is that these 2 triangles are congruent, but the question is, what's the theorem? Jaden, what's the theorem? Why? Beautiful. There's a hypotenuse, and here's my leg. And what kind of triangle does it have to be for HL? A right triangle, which is exactly what I have. So my reason is HL. Okay, so what I'm hoping is that you're kind of noticing it's like the same thing over and over and over and over again. And by process of elimination, if you're stuck on one, it should be easy to figure it out if you put everything you know first. The cool part about proofs is this. The order itself that you do does not matter. The only thing that's important is that your statement and your reasons match up together. So like these two, have to go together. These two have to go together. But if you put like this third step before this second step, there's nothing wrong with that. You're allowed to do whatever order you want. Okay? All right. Let's flip over to number 5. All right, number 5. So I told you we're jumping around a little bit, so make sure that you are with me as we work through. Number 5. Okay. I've got my pictures here, and before I even do anything, what do you notice you're going to have in this one? Vertical angles, because it makes a X. So anytime it looks like a bow tie like that, you know you're going to use vertical angles somewhere. Okay. First statement. What's going to be the first thing that I write? The given. And I'm going to write the first piece of given information. X is the midpoint of VZ. I'm going to kind of shorten it a little bit. And then I'm going to cross it off. And what's my first reason? Given. Okay, there's my first piece of given information. Now, before I write my second piece of given information, I'm going to use this piece of information first. You can put the givens first if you want. You can put them both in a row. That's fine. Or you can do piece by piece. I like to do piece by piece so I don't forget anything. Okay. If X is the midpoint of VZ, here's VZ. X is the midpoint. What does that mean? Where is it located if it's the midpoint?
Middle.
The middle. So if X is in the middle of VZ, this whole big line, what does that mean about these two pieces? They are equal to each other. Good. So I'm going to put a tick mark here on both sides because they're equal to each other. The whole thing VZ, those two small pieces are equal to each other. Now, which statement below says these two pieces are the same? Which statement below? So look at your paper. Vx is congruent to Zx. Very good. It's right down here. Vx is congruent to Zx. What word gave that away? How did we know that? What word did I use? The definition of midpoint, exactly. Remember I told you if I ever give you a word up here, you're going to have to use the definition somewhere. Well, look, I gave you that word twice, which means you're going to have to use the definition twice. Okay. There's my first piece of given information and the first thing that I can mark down. Boom. All right, what's going to be my next statement? The other half of the given. What's the other half of the given? Good. Now I'm going to put my next given. X is the midpoint of WY. And again, that is given. Okay, so now just noticing the pattern here. What do you think my next statement's going to be? Yeah. WX is congruent to YX because it's the only other one that has segments. WX and YX over here. And again, what gave that away? What word gave that away? Definition of midpoint. So you noticing it's like the same thing over and over and over and over again? It's super a pattern here. All right, now, even if you didn't know what the next thing was, even if you went, oh my gosh, I'm stuck, now what? There is only one statement and one reason left that you can choose. What is the last statement that's left over? Yes, these two angles are congruent. And what's the only reason that's left? Vertical angles. Yeah, so even if you didn't realize that these were pictures of vertical angles with an X, you could have said, hey, process of elimination says these two have to come next because this statement right here is my prove statement. It has to go at the end. So the only two things that are left are that these angles are congruent. But we already knew that just by looking at the picture because it makes an X there. So angle WXV is congruent to angle YXZ. And that is because they are vertical angles. Okay, there is my third congruent symbol. Now my final statement has to be what? The prove. Triangle VWX is congruent to triangle ZYX. And then I have to just pick out what's the final theorem that proves these are the same. So what theorem proves those two triangles are congruent? Side, angle, side, thumbs up, thumbs down. Do we agree with Bobo? Yes or no? Side, angle, side. Yeah, good. And now you're done. So again, if you are ever stuck and you're not quite sure what to do, if you cross everything off, process of elimination will tell you what's got to be left over. So that's the nice part about like drag and drop ones with the word bank. Okay. I would like you to try right now number 6, right next to it, number 6. And we'll do it just like we did the last one. So you try number 6 and then we'll walk through it together. Number 6. About 30 more seconds. All right. So statements and reasons, we're going to walk our way through. If you went in a little bit of a different order than me than what I did, that is totally okay, as long as your statements and reasons match up. Okay. Number one, first statement and first reason. Luis, first statement, first reason, what'd you got? Of JN, and then what was your reason? Given. Beautiful. Okay, first piece of information is given to you. Now, if you know that that is the midpoint, that means it's in the middle. Which two pieces then have to be the same? If it's in the middle of JN. JL is congruent to NL. Good. What's your reason? Definition of midpoints. You should be noticing like a trend here, a pattern. As soon as you are given a word, use the definition of it. As soon as you're given a word, use the definition. So there's my first piece. All right, what is your next sentence? Your next sentence. What comes next? Wait, say that again, Bubba? Good. How did you get that? What was your reason? It was given. Very nice. JM and NM are given to you. So you should mark that in the picture with what? Tick marks. Good. Now I've got a second pair of tick marks. All right, I've got two pieces of information. I need one more piece of information. What is my final piece of information? LM equals LM. It's congruent. How do you know that? Reflexive property. Very nice. This third piece is equal to itself. It's a shared side. So now that you've got a shared side, your final statement, because you have three things highlighted, is what? Good. Your final statement is your proof. And now I just have to determine which theorem works for that problem. Which theorem is it? Lorenzo thinks side, side, side. Do we agree or disagree with him? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Yeah, side, side, side. All three sides are marked for you. I saw somebody try to put a right angle there. Don't try to put a right angle there. Yeah, you don't know for sure. You can't go by just the picture. Go by what's marked in the picture. All right. Questions? Okay, so here's what's going to happen. Tomorrow, you are going to complete a good chunk of the problems that are listed, that are in this packet. That's going to be tomorrow. I am not going to be here tomorrow. I'm getting the other part of my surgery done tomorrow. So when you guys, regardless of if you are in this room or in a different room, you are going to finish the problems that I marked for you. You're going to go on Canvas. I'm going to tell you which ones to do. You're going to complete some of them, not all of them, and I'm going to put an answer key online. So you're going to complete the problems, and then when you're done with it, you're going to check your work with mine on Canvas. That's what you're going to do tomorrow, okay? So you're going to do a couple problems, hold on, and then you're going to check your work with mine on Canvas. On Thursday, I'm going to give you a study guide. Yeah, Thursday is going to be a study guide of this whole chapter. I'm going to make a video for you. So if you want to bring headphones for Thursday, that would be a good choice. Friday is going to be your test. So regardless of me being here or not being here, or you being in this room or you being in another room, you are working on your packet no matter where you are, and you are checking your work with mine, which I will post online on Canvas tonight, okay? So if you want to do it all tonight and then just check it tomorrow, you could do that. I don't care. But regardless, it has to get done because parts of this are going to be on your test on Friday. Okay? Question. Do you have a question now? Did I answer it? Okay. So I will put down which questions you're going to answer when you go on to Canvas. Okay, so when you look into it, I'll say, hey, complete these problems. Here's the answer key for them. Okay, it'll all be in modules tomorrow. Okay? Actually, at the end of today, it'll be on. So if you want to check tonight with it, do it tonight and then check it tomorrow. Don't just copy, though. Actually attempt it and check your work because, like I said, it's going to be on your test on Friday. Okay? All right, so I will see you guys on Thursday. I'll see you guys Thursday. Have a wonderful day.